Are you aware that a revolution is happening in education concerning reshaping school spaces? It hopefully goes beyond Pinterest and is not just a pretty face, but actually supports learning. But before we look at current ideas and innovations, let's look at the necessary basics from the Danielson framework. First and foremost is safety. Many safety issues just involve common sense, like the electrical cords positioned where students cannot trip on them, clutter-free walkways and a clear path for traffic flow, and training students in the proper procedure for handling potentially dangerous materials. Accessibility is important too. Students should be assured easy access to materials and supplies within reach and without obstruction to movement or viewing. Students are positioned appropriately for the purpose of the lesson. Accessibility for disabled students is handled as well. In the distinguished category, much of the responsibility for maintaining a clutter-free and safe classroom and assisting others is handled by the students. Let's look at classroom design and arrangement. New data from ongoing field case education studies shows that classroom design for active learning have a significant effect on student engagement. We could have told them that. The arrangement of the room should support the learning activities. Movable furniture, of course, offers the most flexible arrangements for various learning activities. For whole group direct instruction, face forward. For collaboration, pair share, turn to neighbor, and small group table arrangement. There should be spaces to create, to showcase learning, and quiet spaces. Grouped configurations improve all of the following aspects of learning: the ability to engage in preferred learning methods, active involvement, collaboration, creation of an enriching experience, feeling comfortable to participate, focus, in-class feedback, opportunity to engage, physical movement, real-life scenarios, repeated exposure to material through multiple means, and stimulation. The arrangement varies, of course, with the age of the student. In early childhood and primary classrooms, rug space, centers, and reading corners may structure class activities, while with older students, the position of chairs and desks can facilitate or inhibit rich discussion. Before we go on, here are a few more guidelines for room arrangement. Room dividers should be low so that all areas are visible to you. Areas that invite group work should not be next to quiet areas where students read or study independently. Art or other messy areas are best located near a sink. And finally, the teacher should always be able to make eye contact with all students. Whether your district is in an area with unlimited or limited resources, both the teacher and the student should skillfully and purposefully make use of all that is available. The type of physical classroom environment that a teacher creates can either increase or decrease the student's ability to learn and feel comfortable. When setting up your classroom, the goal is to support and showcase learning while giving the students a sense of pride and belonging. All this can be accomplished in a visually appealing way. How do you build a sense of belonging or ownership in the physical classroom setting? Well, one way is to display or showcase the students' learning. Display students' names in many locations. Display students' photos. This can be done at any age level. Give the student his or her own space. And finally, to give each student a sense of ownership in the classroom, solicit student input, and allow students to bring in their own resources. And now, I'd like to suggest to you a really great book concerning physical environment in the classroom. It's called The Space, A Guide for Educators. And it's a great one if you're interested in using learning spaces to support and drive brain-friendly learning. There are some practical design tips for hacking learning spaces on a realistic budget. Included in this book are ideas on how learning spaces can support collaboration, creation, showcasing learning, and meeting a learner's need for quiet. One part that directly coincides with Danielson is the emphasis on student input. And with each learning area that you design, it is suggested that a routine and procedure for using it is also implemented. This statement is a good summary and guideline for the organization of physical space component of Domain 2. It's not about anything else. It's certainly not about decorating or being cool or whatever other goal you can think of. The physical space should be all about amplifying learning.